What's going on, everybody? Johnny TCG back with another video. Today I've got some OP07 games on the sim with Starter Deck 10 Red Purple Luffy. As you may know, Starter Deck 10 Luffy is one of my favorite leaders in the game. My only issue with it is just 3 life feels pretty bad sometimes. The focus on this deck is just trying to get to your top end as quickly as possible. We're running Newgate, Shanks, Dragon, Eustace Captain Kidd, and then we even got the 6 cost Sangoro for when we don't really have anything else better to play at 6 Don. One thing you'll notice this deck is missing is Gear 10, Gear 5, 10 drop Luffy. That is a card that I saw a list that wasn't running it, won a tournament in Japan, and I do think the deck feels pretty good without it, but I will probably make some updates to this deck later, just to add at least 1 or 2 copies, because I do think that it can really help close out games. There's a couple different edits I'd make to this deck, but that's enough yapping for me right now. Let's go to the gameplay. First up, we got a game against Blue Doflamingo, one of the biggest menaces in OP07 with all the Warlord support it gets. I go second. I am able to play a Nami Searcher, which you love to be able to play on turn 1, and I pick up the 6 cost Sanji blocker from OP07. They're going to go 7 at lead, and I'm going to counter out of this. I do have a lot of 2Ks in hand, but early on, I also don't think that's a terrible attack to take either. I don't really have any turn 2 plays, so I'm just going to Don up on Nami and swing for 5 at their leader. Make them give me a life or give me a card. They counter out of it with a 2K law blocker, and then I'm going to swing for 7 with lead, and they are going to take that. 6 into my lead right away. I think I'm going to counter out of this. It's huge that they haven't been able to play a Perona or Doflamingo to set the top of their life. They didn't want to risk using the Don and not being able to hit anything again like they did with the Red Rocket. Alright, going 7 into lead. They take that, and I'm just going to play out the Eustace Captain Kidd blocker. That's going to be nice to combo with the 7 drop Eustace Captain Kidd next turn. That's going to be absolutely huge. 6 at life, and I'm going to counter out of this one, I think. I'm really using a lot of my counter early. I'm not really sure if that's the best idea, but we'll see in the long run if it is. I do play a little sloppy this game. They used the Gravity Blade Raging Tiger to get rid of my Nami and Eustace Captain Kidd. That is very annoying. I was really looking forward to comboing Eustace Captain Kidd's minus ability with the other Captain Kidd's Don ramping ability. I'm going to swing 8 into lead, and they're going to take it. I don't think it would have been a bad idea to try to get that Weevil off the board. They play down the 6 cost Boa Hancock, an absolute beast of a card from OP07. Then, using leader ability, they find Jinbei, the 4 drop from OP07 that lets them play another 7 Warlord of the Sea from their hand. They get the blocker Doflamingo, which is huge. They set the top of their deck. And now the tides have turned in this game. I really feel like my back's against the wall a little bit. I am happy I just got Monkey D. Dragon from life, and then for drawing on turn, I got the 10 cost Shanks. Those are 2 crucial pieces for the end game of this deck. I'm going to go with Shanks on this play and get rid of that Boa Hancock as soon as possible. Not surprisingly, they play the Gum Gum Red Rocket and get rid of the Shanks. That is tough. When playing against a blue deck, you kind of got to expect it, but at least I still have Dragon in hand. I'm going to counter out of their Weevil hit, And then they're going to go Jinbei into another Doflamingo. I am not feeling great at this point in the game. I definitely feel like my opponent has the advantage. They got a full board, they got 2 blockers, and my hand size is dwindling fast. I'm debating on whether to give the extra Dawn from Dragon's ability to Kid or Leader. I end up going with Kid. I'm going to swing big at that Weevil to get it out of here and use its ability to give my Leader plus 1000. I'm going to use Leader ability to re-ramp 1 Dawn, and now I'm just going to go for life. They let me take the Weevil. They're going to block out of this one with Dragon, or block out of the Dragon swing, blocking out with Doflamingo. And then I am going to go 9 into lead, leaving 1 up for the Radical Beam if I feel like I need it. I am a little surprised they decided to block there. They have 2 life cards still. I don't think it would have been the worst idea to maybe take one of those hits. They go with the 10 drop draw 4 Kaido, which I wasn't expecting. And now I'm not feeling as worried. They do have a ton of cards in hand, but I'm happy my characters were able to survive and not get bottom decked for once. They take the Monkey D Dragon swing. Now I'm going to swing 9 with Eustace Captain Kid, using his ability again. When that Kid is able to stick on the board, it is so great to make yourself a 7,000 power leader every turn. With no Dawn investment either, because you're able to ramp it right back. I'm going to go 7 with lead, and they're going to counter out of this. And then here, I'm just going to go with the Sanji blocker. I think playing the Sangoro would be a little greedy. And depending on the number, and the way they distribute their Dawn, there's going to be a lot of pressure on me this turn. 12 into Eustace Captain Kid. They will be able to get rid of this if they really want to this turn. But I'm going to counter out Radical Beam and 1K Sangoro. Let me know in the comments if you agree with this. You agree with me using my counter to keep the Eustace Captain Kid alive instead of saving it to protect my life. But I want to push for game next turn, and if I can keep this Kid on the board, it's going to be absolutely huge. 10 at the Kid with their leader. They use leader ability but miss. I'm debating what to do. I could block it, I could counter, and I decide to counter. I've now got no cards in my hand. And instead of donning up one of their Jinbeis and swinging at the Kid again, they're going to play a Jinbei. Using Jinbei's ability, play the Gecko, get a 2K, but it doesn't matter. It's going to be game over. GG's. Next up, we got a game against Starter Deck 12, Zoro and Sanji. This is a leader that not a lot of people play, and you got to be pretty careful about it because it gets pretty aggro pretty fast. They can really catch a sleeping. My turn 1 play is Nami, and I pick out the 6-cost blocker Sanji. This card is pretty good. I don't play it out too often, but the 2K counter is really helpful. They're going to go with the Sengoku for 1 Dawn and find the OP07 Jinbei, which is a great card as well. I like my options here. I'm just going to go 6 with lead. They take it, and then I'm going to play out the Zoro-Joro. Next turn, if it stays on board, I'll be able to swing with it and ramp 1 Dawn, which is huge. They're going to go Jinbei into Boa, and then they aren't able to swing into my leader, which is great. The perks of being a 6-cost leader. I'm going to go 5,000 with Zoro-Joro, ramp a Dawn. So now I'm at 6 total Dawn. So I've caught up to them, even though I started on the odd curve. Then I'm debating between Queen and Mr. 2 Bon Clay, but I'm gonna go Mr. 2 Bon Clay because next turn I'll already be able to be at 10 Dawn. Being at 10 Dawn, turn 4 is pretty wild. I'm gonna swing 8,000 into lead. They're gonna take that. I've done a good job of applying some pressure early. But let's see what they do. They're going to drop the Buckin and play out the Edward Weevil. That is a nasty combo. For 2 Dawn, able to cheat out a 4 cost Weevil, 6k power, draw a card. That's a good deal. They're going to go 6k into Zoro-Joro. I could block out of this, but I just gotta let it go. They're going to be able to swing with Zoro and Jinbei and probably restand one of their characters. 6k in the lead with Jinbei. I take this. I don't think countering out of that with Queen would have been the worst idea ever, but they are going to send back Buckin to hand, restand their Boa blocker, and swing 6k at life. Now I'll use the Queen for counter. And they're going to go 7 again with Boa. And I'm going to counter out of that with Sanji. Now I'm at 10 Dawn. I can go Dragon or Whitebeard. I'm not sure what play is best here. Let me know in the comments what you think. I do like the idea of establishing the Whitebeard, boosting my leader to 8,000, but I also really want to get some of their characters off the board, and Whitebeard does not necessarily solve that problem immediately for me. So I'm going to go with the Dragon. I think it's a tough choice, but I'm going to go with the Dragon. I'm going to give 2 Rested Dawn to my leader, and so I'm going to be able to swing 9 with Dragon and 9 with my leader, which is huge. I want to get the Weevil off the board, but I also want to ensure that some character gets off the board, and so that's why I'm swinging into the Boa. 9,000 into a 5. They let it go as expected. And now I'm going to swing into... I really should get that Weevil off the board, but I'm going to go into the Jinbei. I would make them use extra counter to save it. Right now in my hand, I do have the Gum Gum Jet Gatling, and I could trash an extra Newgate. They're going to go 2k into Bon Clay. It has to go. And then I also have 1 down up for Radical Beam. I don't think I'll need to use it, but we'll see. They are only at 8 Dawn right now, which is pretty crazy. I beat them to 10 by a whole turn. They're going to play out the Sengoku Searcher from OP07. Probably looking for... I wonder if they run Boa in this deck. Probably not. I don't think I've seen any Zoro-Sanji's run it, but it's a good card, so you never know. And they're going to get the Doflamingo from OP07, which I'm not familiar with. Their ability lets you reveal the top card of your deck, and it's basically the same as the leader, just a little cheaper. They're going to go 7 into life. I'll take that. They're going to go 6 into life, and I'm going to actually want to counter out of this with my Nami. And they're probably going to restand the Weevil. They do. So 1k counter with Nami, and then I'm going to have to do with a 7k swing. And I am going to use my Gum Gum Jet Gatling, or I actually go with the Radical Beam. In hindsight, I don't know if I like that play. Let me know in the comments what you think, if you agree with that or not. I'm going to go 9k with Dragon into the Weevil. I really hope I can get this gone, and I do send it away. I'm going to leave a Dawn up just in case I get Radical Beam from the trash. And I'm going to go 8 into lead. And they pass. I'm not feeling great about the lack of counter in my hand, but the fact that I'm an 8k leader right now, they don't have any big bodies on board, that is making me feel good. They have an absolute ton of cards in hand. I think it's 10 cards in hand compared to my 3. So I'm not, even with my big characters on board, I'm not necessarily confident in me being able to go for game. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a red rock here. Get rid of one of my characters. They go with the Boa Hancock and the Sengoku Searcher. I imagine they'll try to find a 2k counter, which for 7 Warlords of the Sea there are plenty. They go with the Jinbei from OP07. Great card. We've seen that a lot today between this and the Doflamingo deck. And then they're going to put the cards on the bottom of their deck. 5 Dawn to leader, and they're going to go big at, I imagine, they go at leader. That kind of tells me maybe they're not worried about dying next turn. And I'm just going to take this. I could counter out, but what's the point? I'm going to go 9 into lead with Dragon. Let's see if they take this. If they do, that'll be huge. I do have the Franosuke. That could be a hypothetical rusher if I needed to. They're able to counter out of that. Can they counter out of a 10k Edward Newgate swing? Still have 6 cards in hand, so it wouldn't be unbelievable. They use the Boa Hancock blocker. And here I have to ask myself, is it worth the risk of going for game? I decide not. I play the Edward Newgate, brings me up to 8,000, and then I swing at life and they take it. They definitely have to go for a game here, but they don't really have any big bodies to swing with, so I'm actually feeling pretty safe. I've got a decent amount of counter in hand. I have 1 Radical Beam, a 2k, and then a Gum Gum Jet Gatling. They're going to play out the Edward Weevil using Doflamingo's effect just to draw a card, probably looking for counter. They're going to go 8 into me. I'm just going to give them the 1k. And now 9 into me. I can easily block out of this with a 2k. Maybe the Rad Beam would have been better, just so I could use that Franosuke for rusher if I wanted to. But it doesn't matter. I was going to win that anyway next turn, regardless of whether or not I play the Franosuke. GG's. Next up, we got a game against Bonney, one of the best leaders from OP07. Really, I always have fun playing against Bonney. Just, it is a good leader ability, but it doesn't feel overpowered in my opinion. I'm going second, and I have double Nami, which is amazing. I actually whiff on my first Nami, which is an absolutely terrible feeling. I debate between the Zoro or the Franosuke, and I decided to go with the Franosuke because I already have a good turn 2 play in Mr. 2 Bon Clay. I actually get another one for life from life. I end up just taking that. I don't have a ton of counter in hand, so I have to save it. Then I'm going to go 6 with lead. This was out of order. I should have... Actually, it wasn't out of order. The reason I didn't play Bonkley first was because they would have rested Bonkley and got rid of it easily. They actually end up playing the Ezo to rest Bonkley and then swing big into it. There's nothing I can do about that. I actually have another one I could play, which would set me up for 10 Don next turn and be able to play one of my Shanks. But I want to save the Shanks when they play bigger bodies later in the game. So I think I'm going to go Eustace Captain Kidd here, even though I don't love how I'm going to minus a Don. I know it's optional, but you love going up to 7,000. I decided to get it on the board, have a big swing for the upcoming turns. I know I'm going to need it. And so I just swing 7 at lead. They rest my Nami and take the hit. They're going to go 3,000 in Nami with their Ezo. Of course, I'm going to let that hit. R.I.P. Nami. You served your country well. They're going to play out the Jewelry Bonney. They're going to draw the Cavendish. You don't love to see that. Cavendish is an awesome card. They play it out, get to re-ramp 2 Don, and they don't swing at my leader because they want to keep a Don up to use leader ability. I'm debating on what order I want to do my turn in. I could go Dragon or I could go Eustace Captain Kidd. I play down one of the kids first, and then I'm going to swing with my other Captain Kidd first, using his ability. I won't be able to swing with my leader this turn, but that's okay. He will be 8,000 power on the defensive, which is huge. It's going to cost them a lot of Don to swing at it. They do rest my leader like expected. They take the 8k hit. And I'm just going to put a couple Don on Nami and swing 4,000 at Jewelry Bonney. And they're going to let it hit. They are at 9 Don now. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see the 8-drop Eustace Captain Kidd. And of course we do. You don't love to see it. Hopefully they don't have the Rosinante to go with it, because that makes my life much more difficult. And they do, which is absolutely huge for them. Now I can't just Shanks it next turn. They're going to go 6k into Eustace Captain Kidd with Cavendish. That's just to use his ability. I have a lot of different options here. I go with the Captain Kidd again. Now I have 3 on board, which is absolutely ridiculous. This means my leader can go up to 9,000 power on my next turn. Or for the next turn, which will be great defensively. But I do think there's an argument to be made to play the Shanks and just get rid of that Rosinante. Obviously, I would prefer to get rid of the Kidd, but the Rosinante will just block it. They're countering out of my hits, which is to be expected. Now I'm going to go 10,000 with lead. They're not going to block, so they must have it in hand. And they do. And I'm just going to leave 1 Don up for Radical Beam. I could have given it to my leader and swung a little bit bigger, but I do want to keep 1 up just in case. They play the Hody Jones, which I did not expect. I was more so expecting a Doflamingo. And now they're going to go 8 into 8 with Cavendish. I am going to counter out of this with Mr. Tubon Clay. I want to save my big swings for next turn. Now they're going to go 9 into Eustace Captain Kidd again. I am going to 2k out of that. I was very lucky with the amount of 2Ks I got. And then I have another 2K to answer the 9,000 swing from Hody. And now I'm feeling pretty good. I've got 3 big swings on board. My leader's at 6k. I think now is probably the time to Shanks. And I think there's an argument to be made that maybe I should have used Shanks to get rid of the Hody. That would have played it more safe. And so, in hindsight, I think I should have done that. Let me know in the comments what you think, if that would be the right play or that wouldn't be the right play. Because I know they're just going to use Rosinante to save the kid, but maybe they would not have used the Rosinante to save the Hody Jones. I'm going to go 8k with Eustace Captain Kidd, using his ability to power up my leader. They use leader ability to rest one of my kids. I still have another one though, which is huge. 8k and a kid with my, 8k and a kid with my Eustace Captain Kidd. I'm going to use leader ability. And now I'm going to swing 9 at it. They have to give me 2k worth of counter to get out of this. They don't have it, which is so huge. Really though, I'm a little vulnerable here, I think. They've got 4 possible swings, maybe more if they drop a Hody Jones. I don't have a lot of counter in hand. I only have the Mr. Tubon Clay, which is 1,000 counter power. I am an 8k leader, which is so big right now. Me being able to keep all my Eustace Captain Kids on the board has really made it difficult for them to swing into my life. They're going to go 8 into lead. Debating on whether or not I should counter this. I don't think they'd be able to push for a game, but I will counter it anyway just to be safe. Now, hypothetically, my kids could be vulnerable. They're going to go 8. I get the Gum Gum Jet Gatling. That is perfect. They're going to go 8 into the kid. And here I'm just going to use the Gum Gum Jet Gatling because even though I probably have game, regardless of if this kid stays alive, I might as well just ensure it as much as possible. So I'm going to get rid of the Shanks, and I'm going to play Monkey D. Dragon here, and it is definitely game over. So first I'm going to swing with the Shanks. They use leader ability to rest one of the kids. They let the 12k hit. Now it's time for me to drop the dragon. Give 2 Don to my leader. And it is over here. Just debating on the order. That was a really fun game. Look at that board at the end. That is absolutely crazy to have. GG's. Those were the games I got for you today. We really need to see the Nami's early game. That makes a big difference. The kids, they work great when you can combo them together, but the 5 cost without the 7 cost is pretty useless because the only other card that minuses Don is the Queen blocker. And so if we're in kind of a defensive position, we want to cycle cards a bit. That isn't a bad play where you go turn 3 kid, turn 4 queen, but I don't think it's the optimal strategy. There's still room for improvements on this deck list, so let me know what you would change. Let me know if there were any plays in the video you think I could have done better. I really appreciate all the likes, all the comments, and the subscribers. So that's all I got for you today. Peace.